Hi everybody, it's the Ultimate Rabbit again. I'm here to do another commentary on a Homicide Life on the Street episode. This one's going to be on the episode called Night of the Dead Living. A nice little play on Night of the Living Dead. This was the third episode of the first season, but NBC ended up airing it as the 9th episode and the final episode, the season finale of the first season, instead, because they felt its slow pace and lack of traditional action was inappropriate early in the series, when the show was trying to woo viewers. This led to a lot of confusion. I can relate, but anyway, the episode was the story was by Tom Fontana, and the teleplay was written by Frank Pugliese, who is an American TV writer and artistic director. He actually won a Writers Guild of America award for this episode, and he's also a playwright. And his plays include Aren't You Boys, The King of Connecticut, The Talk, The Alarm, Maddie's Place, The Summer Winds. And he became the co-showrunner of the Netflix series House of Cards for a time. So, it was that. It was also directed by Michael Lehmann. Michael Lehmann. I probably got that wrong, but he directed one of the greatest black comedies of all time, Heathers, with Christian Slater and Winona Ryder, Shannon Doherty. That movie was awesome. He also directed a movie called Hudson Hawk with Bruce Willis, which was a critical and commercial disaster when it was released, but apparently has developed quite a cult following. And other than that, he's directed Airheads with Brendan Fraser, The Truth About Cats and Dogs with Janine Garofalo and Uma Thurman, My Giant with Billy Crystal, 40 Days and 40 Nights with Josh Hartnett, and a number of other films. This is an unusual episode because this episode, no crimes happen, no phones. Well, if the phones ring, if a phone ever rings, it's not with a homicide. It's with something else, as we will see. So, I will go over the episode and my experience of watching it. When it first happened, it was a lot of fun to watch it, although it did leave me confused for obvious reasons. So I'm assuming you all have your DVD players queued up, as this show is not available to stream at the moment. Shout Factory did release a box set of it recently. Well, fairly recently. And we're going to start here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now this title here, One Hot Night Last September, was added in by the producers to help clarify any confusion people might have over this episode. It didn't happen right away. It made sense later. And if you look closely at the arm lighting and the hand lighting that candle, you might be able to figure out who's doing it, who's lighting that candle. It's interesting watching this show today. As you may know, I've said in the past, I visited a friend of mine in Baltimore, Maryland, several years ago. I remember it was in June, July. It was in the summer. And I remember us landing at the Baltimore International Airport, and I was looking outside. It was raining. I'm like, oh, man, I should have brought colder clothing. I should have brought pants, maybe a jacket. I should have thought about that. I collect my luggage, go out to meet my friend. As soon as the doors open, boom, I hit by a wave of humidity. So at that point I remember, oh, right, this is the East Coast. It's humid as hell during the summer. Hence, everybody's sweating like crazy, and Al Giardello getting incredibly angry about the fact that there's no cold air coming out of the air conditioning unit. Typewriters. Something we don't see a lot of today. Today, these guys would have computers at their desk. I don't blame Cressetti for being impressed at Kyle Secor, or Tim, who plays Tim Bayless, as for for typing with all his fingers. I mean, that is amazing. I would like to say that I would do the same thing, but that would be a lie. I don't blame Giardella for being mad about this. Like, come on, we're working late at night and you're not going to give us cold air? That's sick, you know? But yeah, of course, as he mentions later on, one of the characters mentions, oh, there's budget cuts going on, right? So obviously, the detectives have to suffer as a result, which is just pitiful. And of course, we got these opening credits again. These opening credits are fantastic. As is the theme by Lynn Cowell, I think that's her name. I admired this episode for taking the direction that it did. That it dared to. This was a police drama that dared to give us an episode where no crimes were being committed, or no murders were being committed, I should say. Did Paul Antanasio really create Homicide? Doesn't sound like it. We got some nice songs here on this episode. Bayless and Pemberton are partners now, although it's not exactly a partnership either is willing to set in stone right away. Oh my god, he's using whiteout. Oh, amazing. Does anybody use whiteout anymore? Probably not. If they do, it's probably for the wrong reason, so be careful. Bayless here has found a fingerprint of a potential suspect on a library book. I mean, he's willing to take anything at this point, and I don't blame him. It's like you want to be patient with people, but hey, I don't blame Giardella for being like, look, come on, get us some cold air for crying out loud. Of course, this is a running joke through the episode when Giardella tells Pemberton, hey, take off that tie, please. But even in this weather, he's as cool as can be. And I love how he talks about how people in the desert drink tea to stay cool. When you think, it actually, that makes sense. Tea, a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, talked to me about this, how tea can really cool you down. And that makes sense. You perspire. It just, it's hard to explain, but, And now we have this jump cut here. Munch, we get to see, this is one of the first times we really see the problems, the women problems that Munch has. He's keen to fall in love, and he's in love, and then next thing you know, it falls apart when he least expects it. And those people haven't seen a dead body. It's true, very true. No one should be in a hurry to see one, but that probably happened at some point. Ned Beatty's character of Bolander keeps wearing the same shirts, and everybody's like, dude, change his shirt. The examples of getting how he should change his shirt or what he can do to wash his shirts are great. And Lee Turgison is here as Chris Thorman. He's great here. And this is the episode he does before his character ends up getting blinded. Bayless has a bit of an excuse when bringing in this suspect because the computer was down, so he couldn't get a record on James Hill right away. And obviously James Hill is, you can tell right away, no, this is not the guy who killed Adina Watson, okay? I love this kid. He's great here. James Hill is played by Kenny Blank, who, he's an actor, a musician, and a director. And he also is best known for his role as Michael Peterson in the television series The Parenthood, and also his appearance in Eddie Murphy's 1992 film Boomerang. And he went to USC. He's still working. Today he's around 45 years old. Good for him. I'm glad he's still working. He's really good here. Yeah, I love how Pendleton quotes Muhammad Ali. He said, yeah, he always backs up what he says in the ring. So true. Anybody who knows Muhammad Ali knows it's very true. And now we're getting back to Bolander's crush on Dr. Carol Blythe, played by Wendy Hughes. We don't see Wendy Hughes in this episode, but it's great to see him, wondering about that. Should he or should he not call her? And of course, this is the first time we hear Bolander talk about his former partner, Mitch, who we would not see until season 3. And of course, we also hear for the first time about Grassetti's daughter, Beatrice, whom he thinks the world of, as any father thinks of their child. Munch just can't help but vent. He can't help but vent about his problems. To where other people, particularly Bolander, has to say, I get why she left you. I mean, you don't know when to shut up. It was funny watching Baldwin here. He's as cool as could be. Daniel Baldwin, who plays Detective Beau Felton. Exactly. He doesn't know when to shut up. Yeah, wash a shirt, Stan, please. Hey, there's an idea. Meldrick Lewis, played by Clark, says, hey, donate all your shirts to the thrift shop. They wash them for you and they hang them up. You can buy them back at $2 a pop. Felton is always saying, look, you pick that up because you close it. You pick it up, the case is closed instantly. He's convinced he's not going to be able to close it as well as her. And as we all know at this point, Detective Howard, played by Kay Howard, has a 100% clearance rate. The kind of clearance rate all the homicide detectives pine for, which lieutenants love to no extent. And this is when we first learn about a guy dressed in a Santa Claus suit. It's a hot evening in September and Santa has made an appearance. Yeah, that is possible. Yeah, I wonder about that. Okay, I'm not sure what Pendleton's doing with his hands there. It looks like somebody I should know, but whatever it is, it's like it makes something. It's something that only Pendleton would do among these detectives. Pendleton still thinks he can close his case faster than Bayless because Bayless is a rookie. Yeah, he doesn't think like a killer. These are words that are going to haunt Pendleton much later on the show. And here we have Inbush Wright as the cleaning lady, Loretta Cañeta. Inbush Wright she is an American actress and dancer, and She got this role after the producers watched her performance in a 1992 film called Zebrahead, and she also played a drug-addicted older sister of the title protagonist in Boziakin's Fresh. And she also appeared in the acclaimed but short-lived NBC television drama I'll Fly Away. She's really good here. Of course, it's Homicide. Everybody's good in Homicide episode. I love this piece of dialogue between Munch and Bolander. No, I love this. This kid, James Hill, is talking about something I don't think any of the detectives would be quick to think about, or any adult for that matter. Chromosome. And Bayless just like... I love Peppleton's response here. No. Of course, he and his on-screen wife, who's also his real-life wife, Amy Brabson, would have 3 kids eventually. I'm sorry, but I can't help but laugh at that line, because there's a sad truth to that. But of course, then keep in mind, Templeton's right when he says, not all black people get arrested. I'd like to think that it's not, Anyway, I probably said more than I should. If I was in Giardello's position, I would definitely do the same thing. I would go down and turn the AC switch on myself. I'm like, I'm not going to wait. Yeah, you figure the hottest night of the year, there would be at least one murder. Now, this scene here of Felton was talking to his wife, and this is the first time we really get a sense of the marital discord between the two of them, and then Kay Howard is talking with his sister. I love Melissa Leo. I love watching her in this moment, because we get to see a vulnerability in her we don't often see, at least not in the first season. I like it, Bolander says Munch is not his partner, and Mitch is his partner. Yet they have this chessboard in front of them, which means they must have some sort of connection. Voila. I love these. Your words get stuck here. And there's a lot of revelations about the characters in this episode. I mean, we learned that, Chris Eddy is divorced, and that he and his ex-wife do not talk. They seem to despise each other. Unlike Pendleton and Bayless, who are not always the best of friends, Felton and Howard proved to be very friendly with one another. Sometimes it's a bit of a struggle, but they're very friendly, and I love seeing Polito talk with Chris Eddy's ex-wife. Chris Eddy's like, oh God, please. And yeah, this is our last moment here with James Hill, played by Kenny Blank. I don't know about this kid. I guess it's because he does things maybe I don't expect a kid to do or kids his age to do, you know. But he's very thoughtful. This kid is very thoughtful, and you know, after he leaves this scene, you hope for the best for him. You hope he's grows up to be someone special or remain a very thoughtful human being. And certainly, Kenny Blank, who plays him, is going to have quite a strong career. I love that he says, "Later, bro." Peace out. Hey, there's a pencil sharpener on Pendleton's desk. I don't see that anymore. I mean, I imagine kids still use pencils in school, but when you get to be an adult, it's like, no, I'd rather write with a pen, even if it's a erasable pen. I like this. Paul Andrews talking about his ex-wife. Not just one telephone, 6 telephones. He had to replace 6 telephones. This speech Felton has with Bayless is something I hear from a lot of people. If I'm ever single, they're like, "Look, don't get married, don't date, don't date on a regular basis, okay?" And we always hope to find that special someone, but those relationships, the rhythms we get in, they're always fraught with conflicts. And, as you attempt to get used to the person you love the most, but the differences always sort of come into play, don't they? Yep, Bayless is smoking at this point. All the characters are smoking at this point. That would eventually end for, I think, the majority of them. And Bayless is Pendleton, I should say, is still intent on proving that Bayless is wrong, that he's going the wrong direction about this case. And now Risley Tucker, he's convinced Risley Tucker killed Adina. And this is the first time I think we hear about Risley Tucker, the Araber. This is going to come into play much later. And Pendleton is still determined to believe, he's still determined to believe, he's right, and that Bayless doesn't have a clue. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. He's played here by Cleve Wall. I don't have a lot of information on him, but he definitely looks like someone who could play Santa Claus. People don't have to give anymore. Well, Belzer. I'm gonna miss Belzer. He's great. I love what he says to the Santa Claus. Now, Grissetti, as a parent, he's like, "Look, I know my daughter's growing up, but even now I can't handle it." Right? Meldrix is right. She's grown up. They got to move on. Of course, that's easy for me to say because as I'm recording this commentary, I am not a parent. I am an uncle. I have 2 nieces who I think the world of. But I'm not a parent, as my brother will remind me. He will remind me, hey, Ben, I'm the dad and you're the uncle. And he has a very good point. I can't find him on that. Kill her mother. It's just below homicide. It's a pivotal moment between the cleaning lady and Kay Howard. The cleaning lady, her name again is Loretta. She notices Kay Howard is crying. This is something I don't see right away. It's one of my favorite moments with Melissa Leo. She plays such a real character here. Yeah, so her sister Carrie, who we will see, who we'll meet in season 4. That's all I'm going to say about it for now. And she's upset that, obviously she has a tumor in her breast and she's going to find out if it's benign or malignant. But of course, this is complicated by the fact that nothing of her brain's husband is having an affair. I mean, life is cruel, man. Not only is it unfair, it is exceptionally cruel. Breast cancer is a big thing. Cancer in general is a big thing. I hate cancer, as I'm sure you do. I love how she talks about Congress doesn't make a rule unless it's about them or loyalists. I love what she says here. Hey, if men had more breasts and got cancer, they would do something about it. For the record, men do have breasts. And I learned about this in a second season episode of another television series that was executive produced by Tom Fontana and Barry Levinson called Oz, which was on HBO. And of course, now at this point, everybody's wondering who's lighting the candle. Of course, a lot of people, it's interesting they say if they figured out the why, they couldn't figure out who's lighting the candle, but in most homicide cases, it's better that they don't know the why. It's just close the case. Don't have to wonder about everything. And this is something that Bayless would keep wondering about when it comes to most cases he works on. It's about the why, when he should just close the case. Okay, now we're coming up to a pivotal point. We got a baby here in a cage. Not exactly the easiest sight. Having said that, it's interesting to see these homicide detectives reacting to a newborn baby. They're quick to crack jokes over a dead body, and they're really getting a kick out of seeing this baby. And then you see in the background there, Sharon Zyman as Homicide Secretary Naomi. Wild baby. It's great watching these detectives look at this baby. Right. So most bodies they look over, they don't have a pulse. This one does. Murders and mortgages, yeah. I'm not a homeowner at this point. Mortgages frighten me. Someone's got to explain it to me at some point. John Polito was later revealed to be a gay man, and then a lot of people say, well, since he's gay, does it make sense he plays a man who was once married to a woman? Dude, it's called acting, okay? It's called acting. Fine, gay or straight, he should be allowed to play whoever he wants. I like this little aside by Felton. I love that. And then you got Chris out here talking to a star. Said, "Look, come on." He's like, I shouldn't have said that. These two guys, these actors playing characters who have never had a baby, and they're like, okay, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I love how Kay Howard comes into it and said, look, I got it, okay. Such a sweet moment. And these characters are dealing with, a newborn. I like this moment. Yeah, I liked him. I was just showing him my gun. His bitterness comes out in a very strong way here. It's kind of frustrating that you're still making house payments on a house you no longer live in. I keep looking at these scenes. I'm wondering, is there another actor on the line talking with them as they're doing these scenes, or are they doing it on their own? If they're doing it on their own, that's amazing. They gotta imagine the person on the other line. I imagine it would usually help if someone was on the other line feeding them lines. Okay, Howard's pointing out is maybe she'll say no, but maybe she'll say yes, of course. What if she does say no? The psychological damage could be immense. Oh, God. I mean, I watched this episode now, and what Bolander's saying is that, half of my life is over. Hits me even further. It hits me deeper than it did when I first watched this episode. Jim Mercy, who is that? I like these complain about love, and then Felicia. I love this. He's just like, hey, he slips right back to, yeah, I miss you too. Let's talk. I'm going to miss Belzer. Belzer passed away a few months ago. It's a big loss. It's great watching Lee Turkerson as Chris Thorman here. It's a recurring character. He makes him such a wonderfully nice character to where it's just amazing to see him go from this to playing Tobias Beecher on Oz, who at first looks like a guy who has no business being in prison, but we learn, he has every reason to be in prison for what he did. And just, it ends up bringing out, being in prison brings out a side of him that he never knew existed. And he's like, prison changed me, or did it just reveal who I was? I mean, Cressetti here is dealing with a nightmare I'm sure every parent has. He's like, wants to make sure his daughter doesn't get into trouble. Doesn't want to deal with an unplanned pregnancy. I mean, I love this moment. He's like, he wants all his hair back, and he wants his ex-wife to remember that 1.8 we did love each other. And at this point, it sounds like they completely forgot that they ever loved each other. Regardless of who was at fault for this divorce, there's no doubt that Cressetti loves his daughter beyond words. I love that Giardello goes to bat for Cressetti and says, no, you know what, it's okay, go ahead. Go home and make sure your daughter's safe. What are Paisans for? Just looking at that fan cools me down. Chris Thorman's wife Eve, we're gonna meet in the next episode, and we'll get to that when we do. I mean, the stuff that comes out of Felton's mouth is crazy. Yeah, hey, maybe if we have another baby, that will take care of our marriage. It's like, hey, it's not that simple, okay? God, Kay Howard gives everybody a lot of good advice in this episode. And I love how the exchange between Giardello and Bayless. It's just, Giardello just, dismissing him every way he can. It's just his way of saying, hey, the heat's getting to me. Don't you get it? And he eventually has to say it out loud. Look, it's hot. I don't want to talk anymore. Yaphet Kotto had an incredible presence in every TV show and film he ever appeared in, whether it was this, Homicide, Life on the Street, or Alien, or Midnight Run, or Blue Collar. He has also passed away. He will be missed. He is missed. There's no one else like him, man. It helps to have the support of your boss. There's the football. That football become a nice prop for the detectives. We would see it from time to time. If they had time to kill, they would just throw it back and forth to one another. I love seeing the fan blow wind into Kay Howard's hair. Melissa Lee had such great hair. She probably still does, but it looks so great in this show. From season to season. Bollinger's like, am I doing okay? Does this make sense? Uh-oh. Santa has escaped. Okay. Miss Morris is the social services officer that they called in. She's played by Denise Morgan. I don't really have any information on her. Darn it. Is there any information on her? Okay, well, she appeared in a Henry Full, another movie, and oh, hey, she appeared on the Howard Stern show. All right. Lucky her. Yeah, foster care. All those pro-lifers out there who want to do something about, abortion. Hey, maybe they, instead of worrying about women getting abortions, they can help to fix the foster care system. And that wouldn't be nice. I like how Denise reacts. Says, look, I don't want to hear about how the system doesn't work. I'm just doing my job. Yeah, somewhere along the line, someone lit the candle that opened this episode. Uh-oh. And I think right away we know, oh! Yeah. Now we know who the baby belongs to. Baby is a job. I don't think you even have to be a parent to understand that. And Bush Wright is great here. This is the only Homicide episode I believe she ever appeared on. And the struggles she talks about here feel painfully real, that no parent should ever have to go through. I'm with Bowler. I'd like to think that's what I would have done in this situation. Look, I would go down and get the baby myself. Tears evaporating in the heat. We don't see a lot of Sharon Zimmon in this episode as Naomi. It's the hottest night of the year, huh? It's hilarious watching Pebbleton Bees at the school and seeing Giardello just like, dude, just come on, stop pretending, all right? Just take it off, you know. At this point, you almost tempted to believe that Loretta here is a better detective than Bayla. She's like, she knows, look, you've been looking at me with puppy dog eyes. I know what you're doing. This is one of these moments where I really love the handheld camera on this episode, on the show in general. How it brings up a natural list of the actors and it brings out certain situations that wouldn't happen in a single camera show. I mean, this moment right here. Whoop! She drops the coffee. I love this moment between Felton and Howard. Because, you know, Felton can be a bit of a jerk at times, but there's no doubt that he really cares about Howard and what she's going through. It's nice to have a friend like that. She's like, do I have to? Yes. Yeah, that feeling of powerless is painful. That's true. Yeah, just want to write you off. You surprised me. That's not the first time. I mean, the previous episode, that when they talked about how, you know, she was trying to solve a certain case, and she was convinced she was hearing the ghost of the murder suspect, the murder victim, and Felton was initially dubious about it, but he eventually came around and said, hey, she may have a point. And Bayless has as much luck with Loretta here as I would, probably. Here's a wonderful image. Hey! I mean, the sweat is just very prominent here. It should almost be where we could smell the BO as well. I'm actually really glad that I don't get the feeling of smelling the BO. I really don't need that. Breakfast in bed. Hey, there you go. I hope I have as much luck as Bolander does in asking out Carol Blythe. It's been a while since I've asked someone out. It always seems like such a trial to ask someone else out. It's like, how do I do this without making it sound like, hey, it's not a prison sentence? And again, I'm wondering, do these actors have another voice talking to them on the other line or not? I mean, if I was in this scene, if I were an actor in this scene, I would probably hope for that, but if not, I would probably make do. I would try to do whatever works best. Actually, as I'm recording this commentary, it is Ned Beatty's birthday, or it was his birthday. He's no longer with us, but happy birthday, Ned. You gave us a lot of great work on this show and on many movies and other shows as well. I love this moment. We don't see Munch, but we can hear him. I like how this is directed because everybody's like, who lit the candle? You know, who lights this candle? And we keep forgetting about it because it's kind of like pushed to the side. Everybody's got their tie except Pemberton. Felton never wears a tie. Yep. I love this moment. It comes out of nowhere. Like everything sort of comes together at the end of this episode. You know, these detectives, you know, they seem apart on several issues, but they sort of come together on others, and it's great to see Pemberton and Bayless come to agreement on a possible suspect. And this, I should point out, this is the scene that always confused me because, again, NBC aired this as the last episode of season 1, even though it was the third episode of the season. I remember watching this thinking, hey, they got another shot at Adina Watson. That's great. Hey, maybe they can close it. And it took me a while to realize, oh no, this is the third episode. It feels like such a tease. It's so frustrating, you know. I remember really, oh, hey, they got another shot at Adina Watson. That's great. But no, that's not the case. And I love this. I mean, Giardello can be tough on his detectives, but I love what he does for them in this at the end of this episode here. This is great. Right? Yep. And here we come up to, yeah, it's Munch. Munch is the one who lights the candle. Chris Thorman knows it, and this is great. It's a great moment between these two. And as it turns out in the chronology of these episodes, a very important moment because this is the last time we're going to see Chris Thorman with when he still has sight. Next episode, we're going to find him. He was shot, and, you know, taken into the chronology of events, it's devastating, you know. He's such a nice guy, and just to see what happens to him, it just feels so unfair. Air conditioners are working. And then we see the final frame of the candle not being lit. And, you know, things are going to go back to normal, dare I say, on the show. Yes, it's based on the book by David Simon. Jim Fernandy, who would later become an executive producer on season 7. This is a special episode. I like that it sort of defies the typical, you know, structure of police dramas, let alone Homicide. You know, it does something. There are other shows that have done that. They defy simple structures. Like Breaking Bad has an episode like that when the main characters are dealing with a fly in the meth lab and trying to get it out of there. It's very clever. This has been fun. I always like revisiting this show. It's nice revisiting with you guys. So until then, hopefully we'll get around to the 4th episode of the season sooner rather than later. And thanks for listening in. Once again, this is the Ultimate Rabbit signing off. Take care.